Hey everyone, it's Kabir here. So in this session, we are going to construct our or implement our second project, guys. So the project 2 we are going to do, and we are going to use all the tags what we have learned and some of the CS properties that we have learned. Okay, so it will be practically we are going to see how we can use that tags. So we saw some tags like headers, all that. A side tag. I think I didn't explain you a side tag, but a side tag will be seen in this project. Apart from that, section, article, nav, and a footer, all that we have already seen, right, guys? So let's begin this project. So if you want to so what I have did is, guys, just I have created one HTML file and the CSS file. Now in this project we are going to write CSS file separately, means we are going to write the code for CSS in a separate file called project2.css, and HTML will be here, and we are going to link CSS file with the HTML using the external approach. So I need the skeleton of your HTML. So for that, doc tab. So we got the skeleton, right, guys? Now after getting the skeleton tag, let me let me link our CSS to the HTML. So to link the CSS file to the HTML, we have the tag called link. So link tab. Now I have done link. Now we have to give the path of our CSS file. So it is in the same folder. So project2.css. Now let me check whether it is working or not. Let me change the title as well. So let me make it as project2. So after making it as a project2, let me check whether it is working properly or not. Let me say h2 equals to welcome to ismart. Welcome to ismart channel. Save it and come to our CSS. Let me write some stylings for this one. Let me write something like color should be yellow. Fine. Now let me come here, right click, go to open in default browser. Yep. Now we are able to see our CSS file has been linked to the HTML file. Now it's fine. Now let me remove. Now let me show you the structure of our project, how it is going to look like, right? It is very similar to our first project, but it will be little bit different. So let me come to the paint. Okay, we come to the paint. Now let us consider this is our browser. Now in this browser, I want to create one web page. So let's consider this outer part is a browser and this part is our web page, right? In this web page, my first part should be header. This should be the header. Okay, in header I can give the my company name, some logos, or whatever you want it to do, right? Apart from that, I want a navigation link. So after giving the navigation link, here I wanted to provide some kind of link like home, about us, contact us, services, what services your company is going to provide. That kind of details you can provide in that web page. Okay, and after doing this, I want to divide this main section into two parts. Let me keep this particular section as a aside section where I'm going to provide some kind of links here also. So if I click the link, I should navigate to some place, something like that. Okay, guys, and it should be our main section, and here I want to give one more section known as footer section. So now this is our footer section. Okay, guys, so let me give names to this one. So I'm going to provide something like this color, and it should be the our header. This should be our navigation link. This should be our aside link, I mean aside section, navigation section, header section. This should be our main section, and it should be our footer section. So this would be the structure of our project. So let's do step by step each and every part. So let's concentrate on first header section. So let's come to our VS Code. Now we are in the VS Code, right? Now I wanted to create a header. So in HTML5 we have the tag called header section. Already we saw this header tag in our, I think, 6th session. If the person who don't know about this header section, what is article, what is section tag, what is header tag, then you can refer to our session number 6. Okay, guys. Now after coming towards the body, Now I wanted to create a header. So for that we have the header tag. So I'm writing header tab. Now we got a header tag. Now in this header tag, I wanted to provide a company title or a company name or something logo, some kind of thing. So here I'm just providing a title. So in H2, I'm gonna say ismart some edutech. So everything, let it be in the capital. Okay, fine. Now this is a header part. I'm gonna save it and just see how it is going to look like. Let me remove these stylings and let me provide some basic stylings. Like for body, let me remove the margin. You know why I'm providing margin 0? Already we saw some sessions. Apart from this, background color should be something like something color. I'm gonna save it. Comes to your project to right click, open in default browser. Now this is what our basic stylings. Now we are not able to see something like a header, so we have to provide the some stylings, because by default your header tag is not going to get any default stylings. So now let's concentrate on little bit on the stylings. So let's come to our VS Code and our CSS file. Now for instead of writing the tag name, we have to give always a ID or a class name. That would be the best practice, and that's what the industry recommendation. So I'm giving ID equals to header. Okay, fine. Now whenever you are going providing an ID or a class name, you should provide some meaningful name, because if the person is going to read that ID name, he should able to guess, or he should able to understand, okay, this belongs to header. So here I am saying it's a header. So how can we represent a ID? Hash header. So these stylings are going to belongs to the header tag. Okay, fine. So what stylings we need to do? First of all, I want color should be yellow. Okay, fine. Color is the hello. Apart from that, I want font size. I don't need font size because already it's a H2. I need padding. Padding should be something like 15 pixel. Okay, fine. 14 pixel. Okay, fine. 14 or 15. I need a background something. So this time just let me go with the linear gradient and 45 degree comma. Let me give some color like red, black, dark red and comma black. Okay, now save it and comes to a browser and let's see how it is going to look like. Now it's looking something like this. Now I want this title should be in the center. So for that we have a property called text align. So how can we give text align should be center? Okay, fine. Now we got it in the center as well. Yes, now we got it in the center. Now, apart from this, what we can do more? Now, I wanted to change the font style of this particular title. So for that, we have some third parties websites or libraries. So for that, what you guys have to do, just go to the Google, just search Google font. Go to this website, Google font. Now here you can select any kind of font that you like. Okay, so let me see some kind of fonts. Any font that you like, you can select any kind of font. Let me see some kind of font. Let me select this kind of font. Right now, if you select any font, like if you have selected any font style, like for example you have selected this one, just click on this one. Now you will navigate to another page. Now here you have to select this style. So once you have select this style, you will get one tab. Okay, now here you have to select the embed. Okay, now just copy this link tag, and after copying this link tag, just you have to paste this link tag in your HTML file inside a head tag. Now in HTML file inside a head tag. Okay, fine. Now comes to again to your that here, and if you want this style, then you have to use the font family should be this particular thing. So let me come here and come to our CSS file, and let me say, okay, now this is what we need. Okay, now let me comes to our page, and I'm going to refresh it. Now you are able to see your font style has been changed. So if you want that font family or font style you want it to change, just go to your Google and you can select whatever you want. You have so many, right? You have so many things. Now you can select however you need. So for that you have to select, you have to come to the embed, and you have to copy this link tag, and you have to paste in the head, inside your head tag, and you have to give this particular styling for whatever you wanted to provide. Now that's thing I wanted to explain. So we have learned something new today in this project as well. So this is what we are going to be. We're learning some concepts, then in the project we are learning some 2-3 more concepts, so it will be a little bit interesting. Okay, now this is how we guys are going to do. Now I want a header tag, right? Sorry, I want a navigation. Now I want here navigation down of this side. So for that, let's come to our HTML. Now if you want to provide some navigation, so they told that instead of writing div, you should write a nav tag. It would be better. It's a better recommendation. You can write a div. There is nothing wrong if you write div. So they told we have to use the nav tag. Now in this nav tag, you can provide whatever links you wanted to provide. So for to provide a links, we require a tag called anchor tag. So anchor tab. So here I want to provide something hash, and I'm going to say home. Okay, fine. We said something like a home. In the same way, just copy this everything, paste. Okay, now here let me change the names of these anchor links. So I'm going to say something like services that the company is your company is going to provide, and it's like a contact page, contact us, and something like about us. So it depends upon you what links you wanted to provide. Just I took the basic links. Now just save it. Okay, now I wanted to provide some stylings to this nav, so that for that purpose I'm giving id equals to nav. You can say nav section as well. So comes to your CSS. Now how can you represent that? Using hash nav. Okay, now what stylings you wanted to provide, right? First of all, the color should be white. Okay, now that we will be, by default we are going to get some underlines for that links, right? Now let me save and come to your browser. Now let me refresh it. Now you are able to see some underlines. Now if you want to remove this underline, you have a property called text decoration. Text decoration should be none. Okay, fine. And color should be white. But this color and this text decoration you are applying for anchor tag, not for nav tag. So for that you have to give hash nav, and anchor tag is a child of your nav tag. So how can we select a anchor tag? First you have to select the parent tag. You have selected parent tag. Now if you want to select any child tag of that parent, just give space and give the name of that tag, anchor. Save it, come here. Now you are able to see it has been changed. Now I don't want this navigation in the left side or in the center. I want it in the right side. So for that we have a property called text align. Text align should be right side, and we require some space between the tags, right? For that we have the padding. Padding should be something like 12 pixel. Okay, we have added, and just refresh. Now we got something here, but we didn't get any text align in the right. Why we didn't get the text align to be right? Because we are applying for the a tag, and that a tag is inside your nav tag, but this a tag should come to the right side, right? So it means that you have to provide this property in the nav tag. So I'm going to remove this tag from here. I'm going to say hash nav. So here I will be telling text align to be right. Now we got in the right side. Now I wanted to provide some background color to this nav tag as well, right guys? So how can we do? Just copy the background, come here, paste, and just change the color from dark red to something like blue violet, save it. Now you got. Now I wanted to provide some padding for the nav tag as well, so let me provide some padding to this as well. So I'm going to say padding should be something like 35 pixel, 25 pixel. Now refresh it. Now we got, but it is looking not that great, right? Because we have increased it. Let me reduce it to the. So the first thing is nothing but it will consider your top and the bottom, right? I want it to be 15. Now if you refresh it, now we got like a link. It's a better 15 and 25. Now I want to change the style of this particular anchor tag as well. So if you want to change the style, for that you have a property called font style, right? Font style should be italic, something like that, right? Now if I say italic, now we got something like an italic. Now we have done the two parts, right? We have done our header part, we have done our navigation part. Now I want to concentrate on this aside tag too. So if you want to build aside, for that you have a tag called aside. I think I didn't cover this aside tag, so let's see the aside tag. So for that we have the aside tag. Now in this aside tag we are going to provide links only. Okay, now I wanted to provide the same links here. So this time let me take more. So I'm going to take total 8 links, and let me change the names of the links. Now it should be HTML, it should be CSS, it should be something like JavaScript. Now it should be something like Bootstrap. Let me keep this one as React. It will be something like Angular. Then we have something like AWS and DevOps. Okay, now save it. Now just see how it is going to look like. Now it's like same like your anchor tag, and by default your aside doesn't have any stylings. And let me give some ID for that aside tag. ID equals to aside. Okay, fine. ID equals to aside. Okay, fine. Now we want this aside tag should be something like that. It should be like this, and here I want links should be something like this. It should be HTML. Then here it should be CSS. Then something like this. Here it should be something like JavaScript. Means it should not come one after one. It should come like, it should not come beside, it should come one after one, right? So for that, how can we do? So we know a property called display, right? Now what display tells us, the elements have been categorized in the two types. One is the block elements, one is inline, and we have inline block as well, which we saw in the last session. Now by default your anchor tag are nothing but inline elements, means they are going to occupy the space depends upon the content they have, right? If you are using one more anchor tag, then it will not come into the next line, it will just utilize the pending spaces in that particular row or in that particular line. But if you want to make this anchor tag as a block element, then for that what you have to do, you have to come to the CSS and you have to consider the anchor tag. Now anchor tag which is present in your aside tag, right? Aside tag. So hash aside is nothing but you are indicating the aside tag. In aside tag, I want to apply styles for the anchor tag, which is the child of this aside tag. So space a. Okay. Now by default, the display property is inline. So now you are going to change it to the block. Now you are saying I want to occupy complete width for each anchor tag. Now space, refresh. Now you are able to see everything is coming one after one, right? Now I wanted to change some color as well. So let me copy these two properties. We have copied, right? Save it. Now I want some padding as well. Padding should be something like some 15 pixel. Now let me come here and refresh it. Now you are able to see some tag. Now we wanted to provide some background color as well. So to provide background color, I'm going to copy this thing. And this time, let me say it to be orange, red. Save it. Now it is taking complete width, right? But I don't want to take it as a complete width. I want to restrict this width. So we have a property called width. So I don't want it to give the width for the a tag. I want to give the width for the aside tag. So hash aside, and the width should be something like 250 pixel. Now we got the 250 pixel. Now I wanted to apply this background color, not for the anchor tags. I want to apply this background color for aside tag. Save it and comes to your browser and refresh it. Now you are able to see something like this, right? Now I want this text should come inside the center. So if it should be in the center, then let me say text align as a center. Fine. Now after getting into the center, yes, now we got into the center. Now this is our aside, how we this is how we are going to implement our side navigation bar that we are writing inside a sidebar. Now these are all our links, right? Whenever I'm going to click on HTML, it should navigate to the HTML content where we are providing this HTML CSS JavaScript bootstrap content in our main section. But what I have some requirement. I wanted to provide some content. So if I wanted to provide some content, I have to write a tag called section tag. But before that, what my requirement is, this particular thing should be sticked to the left side. So for that, we have a property called float, right? So let me come to our CSS and let me say float should be left. Means it is going to stick to the left side, and the content, if you are writing displaying some content down of that aside, it will come in the right side place, right? I mean to say, see, now if I want to give the float, now it is going to occupy this space, right? Now if I am writing some content, it will start from here, but I don't want that content should start from here. I want that content should start from here. So for that, we have to stick this particular navigation to the left side. So for that, we have a property called float left. Already we saw in the CSS, right? Now this is the float left. Now comes to here. Now here I want to provide some articles, right? So for that, we have a section. So I'm going to say section and provide some article. Okay. In this article, I want to give something like h3. It will be HTML. And if I wanted to provide some content P, and I'm going to say lorem, something like 40 tab. Then I'm going to provide more content. like lorem 70 tab. Save it, comes to your browser, refresh. Now you are able to see the content here. Now just consider I'm not giving this float property. So I'm going to remove this float property and I'm going to save it and comes to our browser and I'm going to refresh it. Now see, your content is coming downside, but I don't want it content should come downside. It should come from in the right side, right? So for that we have to add that property, nothing but float left. Save it. Now we got some content here as well. Now I want to provide much more content, like totally we have something like 8 links, right? So I want to provide 8 articles. So I'm going to save this. I'm gonna copy this, paste. Okay, now let me change the headings. It should be something like CSS. It should be JavaScript. It should be something like Bootstrap. And here it should be something like React, then Angular. After Angular, we are going to write something like AWS and DevOps. Okay, just we have constructed some articles and I'm gonna copy, like I have saved the file, just refresh it. Now you are able to see we got some content here, but we are getting some content here also. So we need to do some stylings. We need to cover all this. So how can we do? First of all, let me give the margin for this section. So before giving that, let me give a ID to that section. So what I'm gonna do, just watch carefully. ID equals to section. ID equals to section. Okay. Now let me save it. Comes to our CSS. Now let us concentrate on our section tag. So ID means hash section. Now we want to provide some margin, but our margin should come from here, right? So for that we have to first consider what is the width of this one. This width is something like 250 pixel, but I want some more, like I want the margin which should come from here. So how much margin should I give? If it is a 250, I should give more than 250, right? So I'm going to use something like 290. Let us see how it is going to like. So margin should be 290 pixel. Now let's refresh. Now you are getting the margin on all sides, but I wanted to apply the margin only for the left side, right? So for that, what you have to do, margin left. Now you are able to see we got some everything in the proper way, but it's not looking that good, right? Now let me increase the height of this particular aside one. So the height should be something like 800 pixel. I'm gonna, now we got something like this, right? Now it is looking more gap, right? So what we will be doing, let me give some padding as well, but the padding should be for article. So how can we indicate the tag article tag which is present in the section tag? So first we have to write the section space article, and let me give some padding equals to 20 pixel. Now just see how it is going to look like. Now it is getting much more like, so this time I don't want it should be 290. Let me make it as a 270. Now it is looking a little bit better, right? Now if you wanted to give some stylings for this, so what you have to do, if you want to increase the padding and you wanted to increase margin, or you want some stylings, and you have to go for the css. But you guys have to understand what is the difference between this margin and the padding, because many of you guys are going to confuse. Just you guys have to understand, margin is nothing but the outer space for that element. It is going to add a outer space, whereas your padding is nothing but it is going to add a inner space for your element. Now for example, this is the boundary of your element, right? If you say padding, it is going to add the space inside that element. Whenever you are going to say it has a margin, it is going to add outer space for that element. That you guys have to understand. Okay, now just see, now it's not looking that good, right? So what we can do now, if I change the padding from, for padding, like if I remove this padding from here, no, it is not looking that proper, guys, right? So for that, what we are going to do, we are going to come here and just increase the height to 100%. It's better, so that it is going to take complete your height, right? 100%. Apart from that, I want to provide some padding, like let me get the padding into 12 pixel, because we provided much more padding for that. Now let me come here and just change. Now if you come, now it is not refreshed, I think we didn't save. Okay, fine, save 100%. Okay, fine. Now let me refresh it. Now it is not taking height. Yeah, because it will not take height, because let me remove this height. Let me see, we provided height for a side. Okay, fine. Now let me do some article, like now we got some padding like 12 pixel. Now let me change the background color for this section. So how can we change? So let's me copy this background property, and I'm gonna paste here, and let me change the color from here. It would be something like this. Let me make it as a, this kind of thing, and here let me change from here something like this. Yeah, now let me save it. Let me see how it is going to look like. It's not applying something, we are doing the mistake. Okay, let me see. Now we have provided background for the section hash section. So is it right? We have took the id section, right? Fine, we have took. Okay, let me remove this a. It has that we got some. Okay, fine. Now I'm gonna save it. Now we got, right? Now we got something like that, but it is looking very awkward, right? Let me change the color. So for the section, the color should be white, right? And height should be 100%. Now if we take the 100%, we are getting something like this, like we are getting some weird. So let me do one thing. Let me remove from 100% and let me use something like 4000 pixel height. I'm gonna save it, refresh it. Now we got something like this. So now we need to change much more things. Like what we need to do, instead of 400 pixel, let me try 800 pixel only. Save it. Yeah, fine. We got, but we are getting Okay, let me refresh. It's not properly working. Assign, array, yaar. It should be in here. Height should be 100%. We are pasting in the wrong place. That's why we are getting that error. Now, now we got something like this, right? No, this is 100%, but why it is not applying here 100%? Let me try something like 1000 pixel. No, this is working right. This is fine. Now I want to cover this one, right? Now we are getting more margin, right? I want this margin should get covered. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some padding for that section as well, right? For section, let me add some padding. Padding equals to some 20 pixel. Come here, just refresh. Now we got the padding, but we need the outer part, right? So for outer part, let me add margin as well. Margin, we already have the margin, right? Instead of 270, let me say it should be 250. Save it. Yeah, now it is looking proper, right? Yeah, fine. Now we wanted to increase the font size of this particular things. First of all, we want to increase the font size for this HTML. So for that, what we have to do, we have to select the H2. Now H2 is present inside our article. Article is present inside our section. So hash section space article space H3, and the font size would be something like 30 pixel. Now just save it. Now we have increased the font size as well. Now if you want to increase the font size of your p tag, also same thing, hash section. So let me come down, say hash section space article, and we have to give something like p. Okay, font size should be 18 pixel. Let me remove this unnecessary things. Okay, fine. Now we are able to increase it, right? Now our task is, whenever I'm going to click on HTML, it should navigate to the HTML. So for that, we have to provide the ID for each and every article, right? So article ID equals to HTML. And for this article, ID equals to CSS. Let me come down. ID equals to JavaScript. And for this article, ID equals to BootStrap. And for this article, ID equals to something like React. For this article, ID equals to something like Angular. And for this, ID equals to something like AWS. And for this article, ID should be something like DevOps. Now this ID we have to provide in the anchor tag as well. So here it should be HTML, it should be CSS, it should be JavaScript. Here it should be something like Bootstrap. It should be React. It should be Angular. It should be something like AWS. And it should be like DevOps. And just guys, you have to remember, I'm writing the technology names because you should be aware of some technologies, and all these technologies are important. If you want to get high package, you have to learn everything, but step by step. Now you are learning HTML, CSS, then we will go for Bootstrap, then JavaScript. So once you have learned this thing, then you can learn all these things parallelly, because these are the basics, right, for learning React and the Angular. Whereas AWS is like a cloud technology, whereas your DevOps is not a technology, it's like a methodology. Means if you want to construct any software, you have to follow some steps, right? You have to follow some steps. That steps are provided by DevOps. If you follow the DevOps steps, you are going to get certain benefits. So before DevOps, we have Agile methodology. Before that, we have waterfall methodology. I think you might have studied in your BTechs, or the people who are in the BTech, they might have that waterfall kind of concept in their third or fourth year, something like that. So now just I'm going to save it, comes to your browser. Now refresh it, right? Now, if I'm going to click on Angular, it should move to the Angular. In the same way, if I move on DevOps, it should move to the DevOps. Now, if I want to increase the padding, right, padding top or some padding bottom, so for aside, let me go to the aside anchor tag. For anchor, we can give the margin, and for aside, we can give the padding, right? So let me increase the padding to some 30 pixel and save it, refresh it. Now we got something like that, right? Yeah. Now our one more requirement, right? Whenever I'm going to scroll down, right, this particular site should stick. It should be sticked here, right? So if we want it should be sticked here, we know what we can do. So for that, we have to give the position. By default, the position will be always static. So we have to change the position for aside. So I'm going to say position should be sticky, but it should be sticked when the top equals to 0 pixel. That's my requirement. So I'm going to save it. Now refresh. Now this is how your page is going to look like. Now if you come down, now it's not applying, right? So let me see. Okay, this is not applying because, let me say, show you. Now here, let me increase the height of our body tag. So it would be something like 800 pixel. Now let me come here. Now it has been sticked, right? Now, why it was not sticking before? Because it was considering the height of your aside tag only. It was not considering the height of your particular body tag. So we have increased the height of our body tag, which is the 800 pixel. Now when we are scrolling, now it is scrolling based on your height. It is not scrolling based on the height of aside. Before giving this height tag, it was scrolling because of like it was taking the reference to scroll the height of aside tag. Now when we have added this height, now it is scrolling based on the height of body. Okay, now that's the only one thing you guys might get confused. So try some, like you have to try this website. So it is not completed, guys. I'm going to give some assignments for you. Right now it has been clicked. Now if I want to go to the Angular, yes, now I can come to the Angular, right? Now I wanted to go to the DevOps. Now I came to the DevOps. Now we wanted to build some footer. Okay, so for that we have a footer tag. So let me come to our section tag. Now section tag has been finished. Now let me come to the footer. Okay, by default we doesn't have any footer tag stylings as well. So I'm going to say h2. Now this h2 copyrights, copy, and we can say something like, what's the date today? 8 October 2020, right? Now I'm gonna say something like P, all rights are reserved. Then apart from that, let me say something like P developed and maintained by ismart edutech, something like this. Okay, now we wanted to give some stylings for this footer as well. So the best way is to give some id for that footer. So let me give some id for that footer. Id should be equals to footer. Now let me come here. Let me provide some stylings to the footer as well. So I'm gonna say hash footer. In the hash footer, let me give some background color as well. So I'm gonna copy this thing. Let me say it should be something like green. Yeah. And here let me take something like this. Copy and let me come to a browser and let me see how it is going to look like. Now it is looking like something like this here, right? But we are not able to visible anything. So let me give height for this. Let me remove this height for where is our aside. Okay, now height is, let me give just 800 pixel. Let me come here and let me say why it is coming like this, I don't know. Okay, fine. Now color should be white. Okay, apart from that there should be some padding like 12 pixel. Okay, fine. Now let me come here and just refresh it. Now you are able to see something like this, right? Now we have to provide some margin as well. So I'm going to provide some margin. So let me give some margin. Should be something like 250 pixel. Now let me come here. Now it is looking something like this, right? We got margin as a 250 pixel, but it is not taking entire width. So what we can do for that, margin is 250 pixel, height, and let me come here, and it is a footer. Fine, everything is fine. Yeah, let me comes to your styling and let me change little stylings like instead of 30, let me give something like 20 pixel and save it. Let me come and check how it is going to look like. Now it is looking something like this. Now this is footer, but now our footer is also moving, right? That footer is moving because of our height. We have provided so much height for our body. Now if suppose I'm gonna remove this height and I'm gonna save it and come here, now footer is coming here. Yeah, right. Now what we need to do, I need to provide, okay, fine. Let me come here and just say margin is equal to 250 pixel. Okay, footer is going to take, let me queue position, not position, it should be a display, should be inline. Now if I save it, now it is taking entire, sorry, the position should be block, not inline. Now just refresh it. Now you are able to see this is the thing. Now what my requirement is, it should take complete width, right? If it need to take a complete width, then for that we have to give something like width. So let me give width equals to 100%. Now let me save it. Let me come here and refresh. Now we got complete width. Now the text should be in the center. Now let me give some text. Align should be center. Okay, fine. Let me come here. Let me give height as well. Height to be something like 4000 pixel. Now when I'm gonna refresh it, yeah, now we are getting, but our requirement is this footer should come in the bottom, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna say margin bottom should be 0 pixel. Now this should be margin left. Save it. Now we got something like this. Now it should come. It should come to the down, right? Margin. Let me see what height we have gave here. For side, height should be 800 pixel. So let me remove something like, let me keep it as a 300 pixel. Let me see how it is going to look like. Now it is looking something like this. No, I don't. It should be 700. There is nothing wrong. Okay, fine. We got something like this, right? Now I want this footer part, right? Footer part should come at the bottom. So for that, what we gave for footer, margin bottom should be 0 pixel. So I want from margin, from bottom, the margin should be 0 pixel, right? But it's not applying. Let me give some 10 pixel kind of thing. And the height, already we mentioned it as a 400 pixel. Okay, fine. Now I want this should come down, right? So this should come down. So what we have to do, let's try to remove this height completely from here. Okay, fine, save and come to our a site tag and let me provide it to be 100%. Now it should take 100%. We don't have any height, so it should come at the bottom, and we are saying the bottom should be 0 pixel. Width should be 100 pixel. Display by default it is a display element or block element only. Save it. Comes to our browser. So let me come here and just open in the. Now let me come down. Now it has been sticked here, right? But this copyright should not come. It should come in the center from here. So what we will be doing, so we will be seeing that later. So before that, I wanted to provide something more. So let me come to a CSS, and we have footer, right? Text align should be center, margin should be something 250. So let me take not 250 exactly. Let me take it to be 230. Well, let me see how it is going to look like. Yeah, now it is coming. So let me take it as 200. Okay, refresh. Now fine. Now it is looking like here. Or else you can take something like 180 as well. Fine. Now this is our copyrights, and this is thing like if you click on the DevOps, it should to move to DevOps. When you click on React, Bootstrap, JavaScript. Now it is sticking as well. Okay, fine. Now we have to provide some more stylings for that aside. So what I wanted to do now, this is aside, this one, right? So hash aside space hey, whenever we are going to hover, I want some stylings. So what stylings we required whenever we are going to hover, right? For that I require a border. Border should be something like 2 pixels solid black. Okay, and border radius as well. So border radius will be something like 50 pixel. I want some background color. The background color should be something brown. Let's try now how it is going to look. Now whenever you are going to hover, okay, you have to refresh. Now this is how what I wanted, right? Now or else we can use some good color. So instead of background color, let me take it as a background, and this time let me say it has a linear gradient. Let me say something like 145 degree and not 135. Let me take it as a 45 degree, and RGB something like some values. Let me take some 98,98. Then again RGB, this time 34, 92, 12. Refresh it. Now you are getting some kind of this. Now if you want some margin for this one, so let me take some margin should be something like 10 pixel. Save it, refresh. Yeah, now it's fine, right guys? Now it is not looking that great. So let me change margin to 5 pixel. Now I'm gonna refresh it. Yeah, now fine. Right now if you click on Bootstrap, now it is coming very fast, right? It is not that so slow. So for that we have one more, something like HTML. You have to use HTML. We have some property like scroll behavior should be smooth. Now come here, refresh it. Now if you click on like something like CSS, now it is going to CSS Bootstrap Angular. Now it is little bit smooth. DevOps like this, CSS. Now that's all for this project guys. Now we have constructed a project 2. We have used like article section, all that. Now if you want to provide some more styling for this article or HTML, or if you wanted to use like detailed summary, you can use, we didn't use any images, so it's not looking that attractive, but try to use some images. Now the assignment for you guys is like we have constructed only homes. Okay, whenever this page is going to load, it should be in the home tag. Now I'm providing some stylings like hover stylings. So you have to provide some stylings for this navigation links. Apart from that, you have to construct the service page, contact us page, and about us page. You have to construct these 3 pages. Now whenever I'm going to click on service, a service page should come. The title should be same, and this navigation link should be same, and the footer should be same. Okay, what should be changed? in the service, this navigation link and this main content should be changed. And here in this main section, you can provide your own details. Okay, whatever you wanted to provide, what service you wanted to provide. And when you click on the contact us, it should be the same, like it should be the same like service. Just the main section content should change. iSmart and this particular navigation and the footer should be same. Just you have to provide some contact details of your, okay, like email id, some name. Just try to construct it like a card kind of thing, right? In the about us also it should be the same. So that's all for this project, guys. So we have completed our project 2. Okay, now we are going to start with few more concepts in css like flexbox, which is very important concept. So once we have done with the css, then we are going to start our bootstrap. And from 15th October parallelly we are going to start our javascript, because bootstrap will not take more than, I think, 5 to 7 sessions including the projects. So bootstrap is very important, but to understand bootstrap, first of all you have to be very strong in css as well. So that's all, guys, for this session. And in that last session, like I took only 20 minutes because I wanted to start this project. Then I thought it will be very long, right? So I wanted to start it with the fresh mind. So this session is allocated only for the project. So that's all, guys. Thanks for joining the session and thanks for watching the videos.